Well, brothers and sisters, what is going on, everybody? This is Steel Sermon in the house. Friday evening with another video. And this is my preview for week number 18. It's here already. Regular season finale. And a pretty good chance of the series finale and the season finale for the Pittsburgh Steelers as we come back home to take on the Cleveland Browns for Week 18. Second matchup between these two. Browns took the first meeting back in Week 3 on a Thursday nighter, 29-17. But now you fast forward into the season, I was half right with my initial prediction because at the beginning of the season I said these two could be battling each other for playoff seedings. Well, only one of those teams are battling for playoff seedings right now, and the other is looking to spoil. As always, do me a favor, like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Instagram and on Twitter. Links are posted in the box down below. So, I'm just going to cut right to the chase, and I'm not going to waste a whole lot of time with this. And quite honestly, I don't care if Steeler fans like hearing this or not. But to be 100% honest with you guys, I honestly don't want to see this team in the playoffs. And I don't think we will make the playoffs. And if we do make the playoffs, it's just going to delay the inevitable and it's going to be a waste of time because we all know that the playoffs are for teams that are bound to go on a Super Bowl run, have Super Bowl aspirations, and teams that are hungry to make a deep playoff run. And that's something that this team is just not ready for yet. You know, it's a very young team mixed with veterans, and it's just going to take time for us to fully develop and blossom into a legit contender. You know, I just want us to go out there, end the season strong, and just build up more confidence for Kenny Pickett. And I think that's where I'm going to start with this video. Kenny Pickett, over the course of the past couple weeks, has played very well. He's developed that winning pedigree more and more as the weeks go by. Back-to-back fourth-quarter comebacks. His reads are starting to improve. He's starting to make better decisions. His throwing strength even is starting to improve as well, as we've seen in that drive against the Ravens that ended up being the game winner. Two beautiful passes to Steve Sims and Pat Freiermuth, respectively, I believe. They weren't just short little dinks and dunks. They were sniper shots. And that's something that I want to see more out of Kenny Pickett. And that's something that we've been seeing more of lately. Which is why I can't stress enough that this coming draft, if Jordan Addison is still available, we got to snag him up. And if he's still there, I'm taking him and running. Because you look at our receiving core, George Pickens has turned in a really good rookie season. I think the sky's the limit for him, but it's way too early to tell if he is a true number one receiver. You got Pat Freiermuth, who's finishing up his second season. He's been a fan favorite here since his rookie season, even when we still had Big Ben. The guy's a tight end, though. And quite honestly, I'm not much of a fan of a quarterback's best weapon being their tight end, even if it's Patrick Mahomes to Travis Kelce. Then we got Deontay Johnson. He's made some better catches lately. He's came up with some good plays lately. His route running has always been great, but it's just a disappointing season for Deontay Johnson for obvious reasons. I mean, he gets paid all that money, and he's been very underwhelming this year. I still don't think he even has a touchdown yet. I mean, this is the regular season finale, and he still does not have a receiving touchdown, the last I checked. So that's what I mean. And then obviously you got Calvin Austin, who did not play this year because he was injured. I feel like, and I know I sound like a broken record when I say this, I feel like when Calvin Austin is fully healthy, I think that's going to make a very big difference as far as this receiving core goes, because Calvin Austin has great speed. I think he has great potential to be a nice deep threat for Kenny Pickett, like how He who shall not be named, Martavis Bryant, was a great deep threat for Big Ben when he wasn't smoking them joints. But you get the point. We need to find a true number one receiver. And a speedster and another deep threat and a guy like Jordan Addison, he's still available. No excuse to not take him. But fixing up this offensive line is also a big must, especially the left side. But I think the majority of our offensive production for this game has to come on the ground. Najee Harris and Jaylen Warren have had great nights against the Ravens, respectively. 111 yards on the ground for Najee, 76 on the ground for Jaylen Warren. And this is something that I mentioned in the Steel Twins' stream if you were listening Sunday night. I have no problem with the Steelers being a running back by committee type of offense. I really don't. And I think Kenny Pickett is a really good quarterback that benefits that. Because, at least for right now, if we're going to have Kenny Pickett be like a game manager, just going out there and just limiting as much mistakes as he can to cut down on the interceptions and eliminate his rookie mistakes, I got no issue with that. But I want to see him evolve more into a pocket passer for next year. Which is why, if he is going to be that pocket passer, it's great to have two running backs in the backfield like that because that'll prolong Kenny Pickett's career even though he's 24 years old. So, I honestly have no problem with us being a running back by committee type of offense. And you complement that with the Cleveland Browns. I mean, their bread and butter has always been Nick Chubb. He's one of the league leaders in rushing yards. I still don't know what the Browns are planning on doing with Kareem Hunt. I think this might be his last year in Cleveland. I think they denied him an extension, actually, but it'll only go from there. Overall, this Cleveland Browns team has the talent for sure to be a top offensive unit. And you can say whatever you want about Deshaun Watson. I mean, pretty much everyone said everything about it. But, you know, Deshaun Watson, he's shown a little bit of steady progress as the weeks have gone by. It's not like we're playing another game manager like I mentioned before in Jacoby Brissett back in week 3. This is a guy who has been a franchise quarterback for the Houston Texans, and now he is going to be the franchise guy for the Cleveland Browns for at least the next 5 seasons. So, as soon as I get to what we need to do to win this game, I just want to finish talking about the Browns. Offensive line is looking pretty good for the Cleveland Browns. They don't allow a whole lot of sacks, and they allow their running games to have nice games as well. So that's a big challenge for us coming into this one. The Browns receivers, I think they're in a little bit of a same situation as we are, where Amari Cooper might be their number one guy, but the Browns really don't have that number one receiving pedigree. I think that's something else that the Browns need to hit up on in the draft. And then defensively for the Browns, I mean, it all starts with Myles Garrett. I mean, the guy has 15 sacks on the season, and he's always a Defensive Player of the Year candidate. I'm not going to sit down here and say, well, if TJ Watt was healthy for the whole season, he'd have more sacks than Myles Garrett again. I'm not going to sit down and say that, but the thing with the Cleveland Browns is it just seems like that their defense, much like our defense, lives and dies by Myles Garrett, like how ours lives and dies with TJ Watt. The Browns, they're not really a team that can generate a whole lot of turnovers, but they are a physical bunch, they're scrappy, and they will limit you as best they can. So overall, I mean, you take a look at these two teams, they're very similar, but I feel like the way that we have to get this W, and here are my keys to victory, it relies on the biggest thing for me, utilization of Mark Robinson. Mark Robinson had a very good night against the Baltimore Ravens on Sunday. The guy had 7 tackles, and Mike Tomlin expressed that the reason that he put him out there is so that way he could get some playing time and that he could make other players more free for other options, as he said. He needs a guy that can take on tougher tasks, a guy that can fly down the field, and a guy that can really stop the run efficiently, and a guy whose speed makes a game changer. And honestly, this is something that we should have seen at the beginning of the season, but better late than never. Mark Robinson is starting to play as advertised, and he needs to be in the starting position in the inside linebacker. I know that, the inside linebacking core, it's changed. It's not what it used to be. But if you have a guy like Mark Robinson who's capable of stopping the run, generating tackles, and being able to come out on a dime and be able to fly at you at the speed of light, then give him the time. We saw the same thing with DeMarvin Leal against the Baltimore Ravens as well. Same story with him. Tomlin also said that he needs people to go at it because he said, quote, the defense was just looking tired. They were fatigued. They were just out of it. And that's the way that you fix up a defense. And I'm not going to bash Tomlin for saying, and it took you 17 and a half weeks for you to figure that out, Tomlin. I mean, this is why we're sitting at 8-8, and now we need other teams to help us to get into the playoffs. But at least he did it, right? At least he did it. It wasn't a timely decision, but at least he did it. You want to inject, my main point is this. You want to inject life in a team, you put your youngins out there. And Tomlin has also expressed that the main reason that Robinson and Leal had limited time this year is because they wanted them to learn more about their coverage assignments and they wanted them to learn more about what they were going to be utilized with on defense. And if now is the only time that Tomlin could give them their experience, then I can't really sit down and judge that. But the bottom line with me is that I just want them to be in starter positions for 2023. That's what it all boils down to. Mark Robinson is looking like what Devin Bush was supposed to be. Miles Jack has been inconsistent this year. But you plug in Mark Robinson in the equation, and I think that makes a really big difference with our interior linebackers. I'm not saying, Mark Robinson is going to fix all the problems with our interior linebackers. What I am saying is Mark Robinson is a solid start to it. That's another thing that we need to hit up on with the draft. So, really, that's my biggest key to victory is utilization of Mark Robinson. Because I really do think that if you either put him in as a spy on Deshaun Watson or you have him cover the left side because Nick Chubb explodes from both sides of not the left side. If you have him cover both sides of the line because Nick Chubb is a north and south runner, then that's the way that we can come out of here with a win, and Kenny Pickett just does what he does for the past couple weeks. So that's really my key to victory right here. And I'm telling you this right now, Pittsburgh Steelers, I don't want you to win this game because it could clinch you a playoff berth. I want you to win this game for someone else. And I think you know who I'm talking about in this one. I want you to win it for Damar Hamlin. You're probably sitting down wondering, why would the Steelers want to win for Damar Hamlin? It's simple. Damar Hamlin's a Pittsburgh native. Damar Hamlin is a Steeler fan. He went to Pitt. As you see in this tweet right here. I want you to win it for your Steeler brother here. Make him proud. Because I'm sure if he ever takes the field again, I wouldn't blame him at all if he doesn't want to play football after this tragedy that happened Monday night. The only person who knows that he's going to play again is himself. That's his decision. But I want you to go out there and win this game for him. Not for yourselves. Not so Mike Tomlin cannot have another not so Mike Tomlin can have another season of not having a losing season. Not that. Win it for your Steeler brother who woke up in the hospital earlier today, who regained consciousness, and his first words were, "Did we win?" Yes, Hamlin, you did win. You won the battle for your life, is what the nurse told him. That's who I want the Pittsburgh Steelers to win for this week, is their fan. I know the Browns are going to come in here and playing spoiler, but there's a reason that the Pittsburgh Steelers have dominated the Cleveland Browns in Pittsburgh for the past 53 years. It's because we've always been one step ahead of the curve of them. They've only beaten the Steelers twice in this building of ours that we call our home since it opened up in 2001. But they've only beaten us once in the regular season in Pittsburgh, and that came in 2003, which was coincidentally a nationally televised game on Monday Night Football, if I'm not mistaken. The Browns won that game 33-13, one of the worst Steeler games I've ever seen in my life. But the point is, win it because you want to finish up the season strong, and win it for your brother. That's who I want you to win it for, and that's what I want you to win it for. So with that being said, it's Browns-Steelers round 2. I think we can get the job done over these guys, finish the season 9-8, and then we'll see what happens between the Bills and Patriots and the Jets and Dolphins. And as I've said a couple of times, I don't anticipate us to make the playoffs. It is a realistic situation for us to get in, but I just don't expect us to, because while I do think Buffalo is just the better team than the Patriots are, and I think the Bills will come out guns a-blazing and they'll come in with heavy emotions and beat New England, I don't trust the Jets, at all. I really don't. So I'm not even thinking about the playoffs right now. I'm just thinking about just getting the win and ending the season off on a positive note. Let me know what you think down below. This is Steel Sermon, checking on out for the night. May God be with you all.